you want to? Chair, do you want to open the meeting formally?
Yes, I was going to say welcome to the Statutory Licensing Committee, the 1st of September 2022. Today we're considering an application for a new premises licence, Club Crown, at Dynevor Street, Merthyr Tydfil. So perhaps Joe would like to outline the report to start.
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Chair, can you do items 1 and 2 first, please?
Sorry. Items 1 and 2. Oh, are there any apologies for absence? No. Are there any declarations of interest?
Not from me, Chair.
No.
No, Chair.
So perhaps Joe could outline the report then. Thanks.
Of course. Thank you, Chair, members. So this report is in relation to an application for a new premises licence for Club Crown, Webster House, Dynevor Street. Details of the originally proposed licensable activities and hours are outlined in section 3.2 of the report, and a copy of the full application form can be found on pages 7 to 24. During the statutory consultation period, an objection was received from Environmental Health, which can be found on page 29 of the report. South Wales Police also submitted representations, which are on pages 31 to 44 of the report. A mediation meeting was held on the 9th of August, and following that, the applicant has submitted an amended application and amended plans, and these can be found on pages 45 to 51 of the report. After having had sight of the amended application, both South Wales Police and Environmental Health have submitted amended representations along with amended plans, which can be found on pages 53 to 64 of the report. Members will see that the majority of conditions and timings have been agreed between all parties, with just a few points left to be determined. And in determining this application, councillors must have regard to the 4 licensing objectives and have consideration to the representations that have been submitted. Members must take such steps as they consider appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives, and the steps which members can take are outlined in section 2.1 of the report. Thank you, Chair, members.
And just to obviously advise everybody, George has joined now.
Right. Is that correct, Andrew? There's feedback, which yes, it is. Right.
Hello, once again, my apologies.
Hello, George. Right, we got a bit of feedback. I don't know whether Andrew's still got you on the phone.
There we go. It's clear now.
Turn the phone off. Hi, George. You've not missed anything. Joe has gone through the report, which is just factual. Can you press mute a sec, George? I think we can hear music in the background. There. No, and again.
Press the mute button, George.
That's it. You've done it. You've done it.
I got him. It's all right.
Oh, you did it. Oh, he's back on again. Yeah. Scott, can you? Yeah, lovely. George, you haven't missed anything. Joe just went through her report, which is just factual to say that an application was made, that following that application, the police and public health put representations in. Following that representation, there was mediation, and you put fresh times, etc. in, and there were new amended representations in. So I don't think there's any questions specifically on that. That's just the process. So I think at this stage, perhaps we can move on to South Wales Police, who can amplify their amended representations and explain why they are looking for different times and different conditions to what you have suggested. So I don't know whether it's Andy or John that's going to speak on behalf of the police.
Yeah, it's myself.
John, hi.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, Chair, members. I'm here representing South Wales Police in this matter. South Wales Police's initial representations are on pages 31 to 44. These were submitted following the original premises licence application. I would like to say from the outset that the police's proposed conditions regarding this application are not in any way a reflection on the applicant or the applicant's business. The proposed conditions are purely based on the risk of crime and disorder, public safety and public nuisance, 3 of the 4 statutory objectives as outlined in the Licensing Act 2003. which must be addressed when licensing functions are undertaken or being proposed. Although the police are usually the main source of advice on crime and disorder, issues such as public safety and public nuisance often have an impact on crime and disorder, and as such, the police may include references to these in their representations. On receipt of the original premises licence application, which was submitted on the 7th of May 2022, South Wales Police had concerns in relation to the adverse effect on the licensing objectives and the impact of the proposed licence would have had on the local residents. Due to this, the Local Authority Licensing Department arranged for a mediation meeting to take place on the 9th of August 2022 with all parties, which has resulted in South Wales Police submitting amended representations, which are on pages 53 to 57. The premises itself has a potential to hold just under 2,000 people, and with that comes a potential increase in crime and disorder, a large amount of noise, not only from the proposed music timings outdoors, but also from the patrons attending the premises to listen to the music. This will result in South Wales Police receiving calls from local residents in relation to noise, as some members of the public assume it is something police can deal with. However, that's for the reason South Wales Police feel that 9 PM for all music outdoors is proportionate to carry out the applicant's business, but also take into consideration the local residents who are the ones who will be affected by any outdoor music. However, South Wales Police accept that the Local Authority Environmental Health have the expertise to add further comment on this. Due to the premises being closed and renovation for the last couple of years, South Wales Police have not received any recent calls there in relation to noise or crime and disorder. South Wales Police have proposed timings with regards to the sale of alcohol outdoors and on a Sunday for the following reasons. The outdoor sale of alcohol, the amended plans show two distinct areas, A and B. Area A being an outdoor eating area and having no connection with the events that will be happening on the opposite side of the premises, with South Wales Police content with the applicant's time of 11 PM. However, South Wales Police believe that the stopping alcohol sales at 10 PM in Area B would assist with the flow of patrons leaving once the music outside had stopped, in that will not be a mass exodus of persons entering the highway area all at once, but more controlled due to some wishing to wait until the leaving crowd has died down and purchasing further alcohol while waiting. It will also prevent a rush to purchase the last drink while the music is still playing in a last orders type scenario, which could reduce injury and any potential disorder. In relation to the supply of alcohol indoors on a Sunday, the timings of the sale of alcohol and open on the premises on a Sunday are in line with the other licensing premises in the immediate vicinity, and in fact at 1 AM is more than the other licensed premises, and with a 1 hour seasonal variation would allow the premises to open to the same time as a Friday and Saturday. South Wales Police have agreed to all conditions proposed by the applicant, apart from conditions 11, 12 and 27. In relation to condition 11, there is a reason a risk assessment is done. That's the safety of the persons attending the premises. As per the premises application, there are to be events that are not only live music or recorded music events, but family-oriented events, which although these may not need SA door staff, they may need stewards instead of, or as well, have to safely manage the numbers of people of all ages that could attend these premises. Also, during certain live music record events, the large number of persons attending and drinking alcohol heightens the risk of injuries, especially if glass is involved. And one assault or an accident with glass being thrown or used as a weapon is one too many. South Wales Police feel that the risk assessment should include the consideration of the use of plastic polycarbonate receptacles, as well as the number of stewards, if required, for each bespoke event, and to include in the risk assessment the reason not to use one or the other if it is deemed not necessary. With regards to condition 12, again from a safety perspective, should a major incident occur when the premises is operating with a large capacity, any attending emergency service would need to know as close to the exact numbers as possible, as South Wales Police believe that a clicker system would be a key assist in that. With condition 27, South Wales Police feel this condition must be adhered to prevent as little noise as possible from leaving the premises and affecting nearby residential properties. However, Environmental Health are best suited to fully comment on this condition. With the condition, the final one, of the premises whole and notifying South Wales Police and Environmental Health of any proposed ticketed event, South Wales Police feel it is necessary to ensure that the event runs as safely as possible, and if there are any concerns from either South Wales Police, Environmental Health, and in fact even the premise licence holder, that these can be resolved to a successful, enjoyable event for the people of Merthyr Tydfil and surrounding areas. I'm happy to answer any questions in relation to the South Wales Police proposed conditions.
Clive, you're on mute. Yep.
Yeah. Are there any questions for the police from George?
Hello.
Hi, George.
Yeah.
Hello. So, sorry, just going a bit through. So, about what we mentioned in terms of the plastics and the self-assessment. So, those we are okay with doing the self-assessments and regarding the plastic and the
Yes,
glass.
I'm having a job hearing it. I don't know about everyone else.
George, I think you said you were happy to agree to a risk assessment, but then I think you... Oh, he's gone, is he? Let him in again, Mike.
We're talking about the risk assessments.
I think he said that, didn't he, Andrew? That he was okay with the risk assessment, and then he started to address the issue about glasses or polycarbonates, and then...
yeah, I think that's pretty much what the question was. So if we can just make a note of that, I think we just grasped that, didn't we? So with regards to each event, Jonathan, I think I've got a bearing on what you're saying with regards to the variety of events that we're going to have. First of all, you mentioned the stewards and the CIS, the security staff. But as we've spoken about already, that we don't need the quota of security staff for a kiddies panto, as we would with a Motorhead tribute act, for example. So it needs to be relative to the type of event going on. And in that respect, I think, yes, a risk assessment per event is the good option. And with regards to the glasses or plastics, again, that needs to be identified depending on the event and adjusted accordingly.
Okay, so you're happy with the police's amended condition 12 then, yeah?
Again, I think I understand it. Hang on, I've just sent a text. He can hear everything, but you can't see him.
No, so that's okay then.
Okay, he is actually listening in, so perhaps we'll do it via me as a conduit.
Okay.
Yes, we are happy. I've just been told, yes, we are happy.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, good to go on that point. Thank you, guys.
Okay. So just so I'm clear, obviously what the police are saying, I've got their conditions up in front of me here. In bold, this is the bit that they're adding. The risk assessment will also consider the need to additional stewards in attendance and whether plastic or polycarbonates, and then the clicker system again. So are we fully agreed on those two conditions, Andrew? I'm not. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, our access control systems are digital as well as analog. So we use a click system as well as there's a digital monitoring system that we use that we will be using as well.
Okay.
So that's a double layer of crowd management and management of the amount of people in the premises.
Lovely. Now, I understand that there is obviously an issue with regard to the windows and doors, bifolding, etc. Maybe we'll get onto that when public health give their representations. And then what we'll do is then perhaps we can then deal with your because I think what we're getting into now is you're making your submissions. I mean, it can be helpful to do it as we go along, but perhaps we'll wait to the end and then you can say why you think maybe the bifolding doors should be dealt with in a different way. And in relation to this bit at the end, about 90 days prior to an event, you can give your submissions on that. Okay with that, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Any questions then for Jonathan Roberts, other than what? No.
No, I think I did send Joe a policy for evacuation, and I think we discussed the smoking area as well. I did send that over to you. Did you get that, Joe?
No.
Okay, I sent an email over with our evacuation policy and our end of night policy and our Right, let me.
Can you send that again to Joe? And
Yeah, I'll do that.
perhaps we can get on to, unless the members got any questions now of South Wales Police, perhaps we can move on to public health, because of course they are going to deal more with the smoking area and the aggressive noise, aren't they?
Okay. Yeah, I'll send that over to you straight away now, Joe.
So is Garen speaking for public health?
That's right. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
representing
good,
environmental health. Yeah, am I okay to go now, Chair?
Yes.
Okay, no problem. Everyone can hear me okay then? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Okay, environmental health objections can be found in Appendix B, page 29. So if I just reiterate some of those points again, essentially it's the prevention of public nuisance that we're concerned that won't be met as part of the licensing objectives, purely really to do with the external noise coming from the site. So live recorded music and noise from patrons as well. That really there's very little or no information on how that will be controlled from the site. So with nearby properties being between 55 and 60 meters away, we feel that it's going to be extremely difficult for the premise to control any sort of external noise there, in conjunction as well with having the bifolding doors open, which would allow noise to come from inside the building as well. So really it's to do with the prevention of public nuisance. So we feel that it cannot be met with this application, and that's the fundamental basis for the objection. Is it okay if I share my screen? Is that all right with everyone? If I just to give you a little overview of where the location is?
Yes, that'd be nice, thanks.
Let's get it. We got no technical difficulties, right? Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so this is obviously a bird's eye view of the site. Can people see the cursor as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that's obviously the application of the Club Crown in this location here. So we've got properties in this area in the tram road side, which are from site boundary to site boundary. It's about 55 to 60 meters. You've got a vet right by there. You've got a GP surgery, the college by there, and obviously you've got Woodland Walk in the Ennis Park area, sort of, above and behind the premise. So if I just go down a little bit more so you can see it a little bit in close detail. So these sort of properties over in this location are going to be the nearest receptors, then we'll say, within this sort of vicinity. So this is the proposed location for the external music to take place, because I believe it's this side, isn't it, that the hall is going to be used to conduct live music. So in theory, a lot of noise outbreak is going to be conducted in this location. Sorry, is there someone waiting in the lobby as well?
Yeah, let's get rid of that thing off the screen before you continue. Lovely. Right,
okay. So that's where we're concerned, particularly with residents in this location. There's going to be quite a lot of noise outbreak in this direction. That's going to be, well, extremely difficult to abate, really, particularly if you want in times till 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. And at that sort of distance, it's going to be decibel levels going to be particularly low at those sort of times. So it's going to be fairly prominent, that sort of noise source coming from there. And just to give you a bit of detail, I did a bit of a measure from the site boundary to the nearest property, and it comes up at about 55 meters distance here. So it's fairly close. If I just come off that now. If I just go on to our amended reps. Has my screen come off now, or can you still see my screen?
Garen, obviously those properties are closer to the Celtic Bar and the Kirk House. But of course, the difference being, you're saying, is that they are internal noise generators, as opposed to what the Crown are proposing to do is have a combination of both. So that separates that one. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. So with the Coolers Bar and Celtic Bar, the noise within them is contained within the building, so they don't have an external noise source, for example, and they don't have any external outdoor areas where people would be until 1, 2 in the morning. So, and we don't get complaints from them. So there's no evidence to suggest that they cause a problem in the area either. So, and as you say, the noise is contained within the building, so you don't get noise outbreak, as opposed to what you likely would get with this premise, having events outside and with the bifolding doors.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so if I go on and just explain our amended representations and why we've come to that decision for the timings. So our proposal for outdoor recorded live music, boxing, wrestling and films is 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday through to Thursday, and 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday and Saturday night. That is primarily just to do with the time. Is the only way we feel that you'd be able to have any sort of outside recorded or live music is to be able to condition the times to a suitable time in which people can get to bed.
Can you give me those times again? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You broke up on the second one. So you just give me those times again. So.
Yeah, no problem. So Sunday through to Thursday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's on Appendix F, I believe.
Yeah.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. So the reason being that we've gone for those timings is purely just to give people an opportunity, to relax in the evening, to be able to get to sleep. And yeah, so that it doesn't obviously spiral into, the later hours in which it might start to affect people own property and of course them trying to get to sleep.
George has got a question.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about
yes.
Hello. So correct me if I'm wrong. Just two questions. When you say that Celtic Bar and the coolers, they are mainly indoors activities. So we know all the area. First of all, Celtic Bar has a smoking area outside as well. The green benches and whites on the back. And they on use during all the time, and the same with coolers. On the back area there is a smoking area where people can gather as well. So, and the other thing as well, and correct me if I'm wrong, even the activities under 500 people, it's allowed until 11 o'clock. Am I wrong? All right.
I was under the impression that they didn't use that area. I don't know if Joe can help. In terms of the Celtic Bar, I didn't think they used the green benches at all. I don't know if
it's not used as a beer garden.
Right, okay.
People may smoke in that area. I don't know, but it's certainly not used for any licensable activities. No.
But in response to George's second point, as he says, if it's under 500 patrons there, then it's to 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah.
You're right, George.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. So the only thing that we are, the only thing that we're questioning here is the quantity of people and not the noise that they do. Because if it's under 500 people, I am okay to have noise until 11 o'clock. And if it's over 500 people, I'm not okay to have noise outdoors. Is that what we're questioning in here?
Yes, you're okay. Under 500, you're okay to go to 11, but of course you can't make a statutory nuisance. If a statutory nuisance occurs, then public health are going to come straight in with an abatement notice or something like that, or review probably. But you are right, yeah. So we got two things to look at here. Is a smaller, under 500, you're okay to 11, and then if it goes over 500, then you are going to be constrained to lesser hours, I suppose.
I think that one of the concerns with that, Garen, is the type of event that we have on. I understand that in the case of live music or recorded music playing, but as you are aware, we've discussed having a winter wonderland in the car park there, where we expect lots of families and young children to be, and we want to be able to say there's an ice rink there, for example, and there might be some music playing on the ice rink, which would be not, as we've discussed, that is not
background, is it? Yeah, more of a background and
but again, it's making sure that we've got the capacity and the capability to be able to put on, put on any event without of such a varied proportion that it doesn't constrain what we can and cannot do just by putting this on,
Okay. I don't know if Sean wants to come in.
Yeah, Sean has got a hand up. Yes, Sean.
Good morning. My name's Sean James. I'm the Environmental Health Manager. I'm not sure if Garen has actually completed his presentation before we start having questions, but given we are having questions, I'll respond in that these supplementary submission that Environmental Health have made, one important sentence at the beginning of that submission of the agreed conditions is that they don't overcome our objections in the first place because of the very point that George has raised, in that up until there's 500 capacity, then these conditions won't be enforceable. So I think it's important for the committee to be aware of that when they make their decisions, that these conditions won't apply where the capacity is under 500. Thank you.
George?
Yes. So regarding to this situation, I know that I can make a statement in the end, but just trying to focus in every point to a certain time. It's not previous events in the old RAF club with marquees outside and buns on outdoors as well. And I'm inquiring, was any complaints previous that?
Sorry, was that a question directly to me? Was it, sorry, George?
Yes. Sorry,
okay. I haven't, well, going back through the history of our Tascomi records, I believe go back to about 2016. I haven't picked up any complaints regarding the site, no.
So I understand that you guys have a job to do, and I respect your job. But you need to understand that one of the things that we're trying to gather in when we open the venue, of course, we want everyone to be happy, and we want to comply with as much as we can. But at the same time, we don't want to have, as we say, 850 that would become 1,200 capacity venue that is going to be, restricted in the point that we cannot make our way in, not just in Mercia, but in Wales or South Wales, in terms of creating some good events with the capacity that we are allowed to do. So that's what will be, that's what we'll be aiming to, is to be out, coming to be recognized. And I'm just thinking that it might be a bit too early for us to be, how can I say, stop us of running without it, without we know if we can walk. So that is just, one of the point of views on this situation, and I completely understand your concerns, but you need to understand that in the other side of the table, there is something that we need to try to do to develop the town and the hospitality and leisure aspect of it. And if we are going to tie our hands to start with, it might be very hard for us to become, or we just become another one in the town where we, 500. It's a lot of venues, but when we go to the exceeding capacity, that's where we stand from the crowds and from other venues around the area. I'm just concerned that these might be whatever the committee decide, we'll abide for it, of course. But I just want you guys to know that might be something that won't help us to stand out from similar venues in the area. And I understand the concerns. Don't get me wrong, and we'll do our best. Because of course, in the end, we don't want to upset anyone because they'll be our customers. But we need to be sure that we're not going to start putting, a lot of restrictions into us that will stop us to reach where we want to reach inside of the conformities of what we can do. And again, seeing that the history is no complaints, and we know that there has been big parties in the RAF club. We all know about it. Well, some parties. But yeah, I just want to state these points.
Okay. I think it's a different application though to what's gone before, and I think with regards to the original application, looking at 1 a.m. To 2 a.m. outside music, I think that's potentially, if that was originally granted, that could happen 7 days a week. Now, I can imagine the patience of the nearby residents would wear fairly thin if it was happening on a regular basis, or certainly you can have those type of events every single weekend. So I think it's important that we get the application right at the beginning, so that it's not just called straight into review, or we get problems. We want to try and iron out the problems at the start, really, so we get the application right, so that hopefully we're on good footing to go forward then.
Okay. Garen, I think Sean's got her hand up.
Okay.
I'm mindful you haven't finished your representations. All
Yeah,
we've dealt with there is the hours. But Sean, do you have anything to say at this point, or do you want Garen to finish his presentation?
Yeah, I think Garen has covered the point I was going to make there. But yes, if we can let Garen finish.
Okay, Garen, if we can just continue.
Yeah, no problem at all. So moving on to the late night refreshment outdoors, we have objected to that. Purely to do with noise related issues from patrons being sat outside, causing a nuisance to nearby residents or potential nuisance to nearby residents. So we feel that wouldn't be appropriate for the premise. Okay. Supply of alcohol outdoors. Now,
sorry, can I stop you there just for the committee's benefit? Yeah. What that essentially means is no late night eating outside after 11 o'clock.
After 11, yeah. After 11.
Okay.
So moving on to supply of alcohol outdoors. Now, the application has been broken up into external areas A and B. External area A being the side that would have the restaurant in. So we've gone along the lines of having Monday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. for the restaurant area itself to be able to serve alcohol. For external area B, which would be the side that would have the live music venue, we've gone 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Sunday. Now that is an hour outside of when we would say live music can happen outside, live and recorded music. So there is an extra hour there. We were originally going to bring it back to 9, but we have now gone with the extra hour outside for them to have supply of alcohol on the side that would house the bifold indoors and have the the live and recorded music side of the business. Recorded music indoors, we've gone fairly similarly to what they wanted on the application, really. There hasn't really been any concern raised about the indoor music. Monday to Thursday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday...
1 p.m, sorry, Garen.
1 a.m, sorry. 9 a.m. to 1 a.m, sorry. And Sunday 9 a.m. to midnight that's on a Sunday. And then
there's no issues there at all, because that's exactly what
that's right. Yeah,
proposing. So we can move on from that one.
Yeah, I believe performance of plays, films, boxing and wrestling, indoor sport and events.
Yeah,
I think
they're all the same, aren't they?
Yeah, live music indoors. Yeah, I think we've pretty much gone with what they've asked for and the supply of alcohol indoors. And of course, there's a grace period for any Sunday bank holiday. Any Sunday preceding a bank holiday, Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, for an additional hour on the supply of alcohol indoors.
Okay, there is one difference there. The Crown are proposing 1:30 on a Sunday, and you're saying 1 a.m.
Yeah, 1 a.m. on Sunday.
Okay.
If I move on to the conditions. So condition 11 and 12 has been spoken about by John, I believe, from a policing perspective. So I'll move on to condition 27 that would suggest that all measures are taking place to reduce or minimise noise from regulated entertainment that's taking place at the premise. All external windows and doors, including the bifold indoors, must be kept shut at all times when regulated entertainment is being provided indoors. So just to reiterate that point, when there's any sort of regulated entertainment going on inside the building, the bifold indoors and any external doors and windows will be kept shut. Of course, if there's no event going on in there with regulated entertainment, they can be opened. And obviously there's normal access and egress for any fire escapes and people entering and exiting into the building. It's quite a lot of background noise. I'm not sure if someone's...
I think, George, you got your...
from the Maldives, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
George, can you press mute on your device, please? Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you, Garen.
So obviously the premise license holder will notify ourselves and the police of any proposed ticketed live music or recorded music event outdoors and give at least 90 days prior to the start date of the event. The notification will include any operational plans for the event, any noise mitigation and management plan, details of the size and nature of the event, and also the location, the artists, and the number of security staff. We will then give written confirmation or concerns or an objection within 45 days of receiving the notification.
Okay.
Oh, thanks. Malcolm, if you've got a question.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, Gary. Can
Hi.
you just explain why you've gone for 90 days? Because that seems quite a long period to me.
Just ask that myself.
I think the reason being the 90 days is so that we've got a significant period of time to consider and come back with any thoughts, any queries, any improvements that can be made to the proposal. So I think it just gives us a bit more of a timescale or a larger timescale to be able to, review and consider the application, really.
Right, I understand some local authorities propose 56 days rather than 90. Do you think that would be more reasonable?
I suppose we've written down 90 now, so that's what we think that's reasonable. But I can see where you're coming from with regards to the 56, but we've gone for the 90 in this instance.
Okay.
I think from our point of view, sorry, we value a lot of our business actions on being able to be responsive to our clients' needs and be responsive to events that come up. For example, we do frequently get opportunities to put shows into the existing venue, and we will with this venue at much shorter notice than you're giving us there. I think 90 days would prohibit us from being able to do quite a lot of what that business is designed to do. And it is prohibitive on 90 days, because if I can't give you that 90 days, if we have to react to a situation, for example, and I'll give you an example, we've got an opportunity where ex-Spandau Ballet guitarist Martin Kemp is going to come and do a DJ set in the New Crown in Merthyr. If we were to be able to respond to that, and they're giving us 40 days to put that on, then we wouldn't be able to do it in the new venue. So we would need more flexibility than that, I think, Gary. And I understand the 90 days is a good option for you. It's a really poor option for us. It doesn't give us the flexibility within the business. So if we can look at shortening that period, it would be very helpful with our programming.
Okay, thank you.
I think Scott was next. Have you got a question, Scott?
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Malcolm kind of stole my thunder a little bit in respect of obviously the question around the 90 days. Obviously, as we're aware, obviously neighbouring authorities and even Cardiff themselves offer an 8-week sort of 56 days period for this. Are we aware, like Garen, you might be able to answer this. Are you aware of any venues of a similar capacity or a similar size in neighbouring authorities that do actually hold a 90-day, let's call it a consultation period then, if we will, to get this sort of those sort of applications across the line then?
I'm not 100% sure from a licensing perspective. I don't know if anyone, Joe, if you're aware of any that maybe doing Cardiff. I'm trying to think perhaps of a larger capacity.
So I think Cardiff do tend to go with 56 days, which is obviously 8 weeks. I don't know of any similar venues in sort of RCT or Caerphilly that I could find out about. Cardiff was the one I went to because obviously they do have more venues of this sort of nature there. But just before I go off, just to point out, this is purely for events outdoors, so not indoor events. This would only affect outdoor events.
Yeah, Sean, did you have any experience of that in Cardiff? I know you've got quite a bit of experience there.
Yeah, I mean, these conditions obviously don't overcome our concerns in the first place. So this is a condition that we're recommending for those external areas where we haven't had any details as to what they may be or the controls that might be in place. So 90 days has been put there for fairness for ourselves and the business, because if we have concerns, it gives us a bit more time to negotiate, you know, sort of come up with a scheme that might work. If that needs to be less, then so be it. But it then squeezes the business as well on time, should we decide to use that veto, if that's what's agreed.
Okay. Garen, anything else you want to? Oh, George wants to come in at this stage. George?
Yes.
Unmute.
Yeah. Once again, I think these situation shows a bit where we are at the moment. So we gone and, well, Environmental Health again gone with 90 days, something that no one is aware of it. So I'm just a bit concerned that we might take everything into a bit of extremes in here now, instead of we actually trying to be, I'm sorry using the word, but it's reasonable. So again, we all want to work together, but we know that 56 days it's common, and you know, because it's Mercer or because it's a new venture, we're talking 90 days.
Yeah.
It just shows to me that, you know, again, we might be a bit overcautious, or as I said, let's try to, you know, to help us out in a way that is not creating a lot of because again, this is new for us as well in terms of the capacity, and we want to do well, and we want the town to do well, but you know, we might need a bit of a leeway in terms of you know, helping us out instead of creating a bit more obstacles that we already have in putting some of the events.
Is there a reason why it's 90 days, not 56 days? Is there a reason, any reasoning behind that, apart from?
Just to give us more time, really, I think, to consider the application, and obviously gives you a bit more time if we say we're unhappy with the plan, I suppose, to come back and make alterations to that plan, whereas it might be squeezed
So,
if it was less time.
Karen, can I ask you then, if we were to put a proposal into you of an event, how long would it take you to process that?
I think it says within, does it say within 45 days on the condition?
So how long would it take you to process that application?
Maybe I can come in here. It very much depends on the quality of that application, the details of the mitigation put forward. So it depends what is submitted. I think it is 45 days notice that we would give you under that proposal. Similarly, if we went for 56, I assume it would be half of that then that we would we would recommend. But I'll go back again that this condition, along with other conditions, don't overcome our concerns with this application in its entirety.
I know we're just dealing with it, really, but I'm just trying to get a bearing on why 90 days and not 56 days, when 56 would appear across other authorities to be the standard. Why we've practically nearly doubled the requirement and doubled the time that's required. And I understand, sorry, Sean, I understand where George is coming from. It's as if we're trying to put measures in place to prevent things from happening that may or may not happen, as opposed to going with existing sort of regulations that are there already within other local authorities, which are standard practice, which would seem a lot more reasonable and less prohibitive.
Yeah, and I'll come back to it. You know, we didn't have any details on the external area on this application, and therefore we would object. But if you were to come forward with the details, then hopefully we would be able to agree much quicker than 90 days. It very much depends on the quality of that application, and going by the application here and your proposals for prevention of public nuisance has been limited in the application. It may be that there's quite a bit of work to do to get you there, but yeah, certainly if it needs to be shorter, I don't think we've got a huge issue with that. You've got to be aware that that puts pressure back on yourself as well. So I'm quite amenable for that to be shorter, but it comes with a, you know, a warning sign.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Thanks for clarifying that, Sean. I'm just coming at it from our ambitious point of view of we're trying to do something in Merthyr that's never been done before. We're trying, obviously, and this is the importance of this meeting today. It's essential that we get this right. But I don't want us to be in a situation where we're being cautious for something that we don't need to be cautious about. That's all. And I fully understand the environmental health with your environmental health hat on. You have to take all of this into consideration, but we are considering things that are unknowns. So maybe that's why we've been a little bit overcautious. George, you're muted.
George, won't we be in the same position everyone else in the other counties with the 56 days? So I understand, but we'll be in the same position that everyone else is. And again, I'm really sorry, but this situation of the warning sign, if I am worried already, knowing that is a warning sign on it, it doesn't look, I'm going to be much forwarding in terms of working together. And as I said, it is the limits that trying to be imposed when might not be the need for it. And when we need, instead of we need warning signs, we might need, a helping hand to help us.
I think that's something that we can assist with, is certainly giving advice on the application. And I suppose when they come into us, we can see how those applications go, and if it does generate complaints and if they do work, and I suppose we can build on that as well. We can, at least then we can, if you give us prior consent, we can give some opinions and advice on how best to try and run that event, and timings and things like that. So that's the idea in place, really, is that there is some open dialogue between ourselves, so we can try and come to an agreement on how the event runs.
I don't think that's an issue.
That's been always our plan, working together and not working against each other. And again, if you guys, you are environmental health officer, of course we don't want to upset you. We don't want to upset anyone. We want to work together. But what we don't want is our hands to be tied from the start of it. If anything goes wrong, hopefully not, but I'm not saying that it isn't, because, that's life. We'll be together in that to sort it out, the issue. I'm not like saying I know everything, because I don't, but I'm trying my best. And trying my best is putting things that, never been done before. And because never been done before, not just in Merthyr, some of our ideas maybe never been done before. But again, of course we need your guys' help to be in there, supporting us and making all these big projects to move forward and making sure that is something outstanding, not for the club ground, but for Merthyr as a town.
Okay, I think we've exhausted that point, Chair. Do you agree?
Yes.
All right.
I'm going to move on
now.
Yes, please, Garen, if you would. So
the next proposed condition is clear and legible notices must be prominently displayed in any area used for smoking. So essentially that is, the next point goes on to explain that in a little bit more detail, what we want in the smoking area. So no seating area will be provided in the designated smoking areas, and that's reason being is not to encourage people to stay outside in those areas, particularly late into the night, talking, discussing, shouting, causing a disturbance outside of the building. So it's purely to try and discourage people from congregating in those areas and spending prolonged periods of time, potentially causing any sort of disturbance. Between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. the following day, no glass bottles will be moved or deposited outside. Again, that's purely due to the noise issue associated with emptying a large bin full of glass.
Give me those times again, Garen, sorry.
Sorry, between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. the following day. So between 8 and 7, the next day, no glass bottles will be moved or deposited outside. And then the final condition is all patrons to access and exit the building only via the acoustic lobby doors anytime between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. the following day. So essentially that's people making sure after 9 p.m. that they exit the building through the acoustic lobby door, so that there's a reduced or there's no sound outbreak, or certainly a significantly reduced sound outbreak of any noise that may be happening, whether it's recorded or live in the live music portion of the premise. Of course, you know, not for any event of a fire they can be used, any other doors, but certainly if it's just a use for smoking, just go through the acoustic lobby doors.
Just to clarify then, Gary, are you saying that while there's music playing, they have to come out through the front door? Or is that a case that they have to come out through the front door, irrespective of whether there's music playing or not?
It's got after, well, it's after 9 p.m. we've gone for, so I don't know what is the proposal to have, because you've got a rear smoking area, haven't you, as well?
Sian wants to come in here, I think.
Okay.
Did Sian?
Yeah, the reason for this proposed condition is twofold. First of all, to prevent breakout of noise if it is regulated entertainment that's taking part, and also to ensure that people don't congregate in that smoking area. So they're using the double lobby, which is the main front entrance, I believe, to the Crown Club.
Yeah.
So okay. It's 9 o'clock is the
9, yeah.
Can I just offer an alternative option there? The concern with that is you create a bottleneck of people leaving the premises. If you've got 850 people in there, which is the regulated maximum at the moment of the venue, to get 850 people through that small front door is creating a bottleneck and a risk for health of people and crowds gathering. What we were going to suggest was that where the bifold doors are, we can disperse much quicker and safer by opening all of the doors to allow people to leave, as long as there is no music playing. And it just makes a lot more sense for public safety for there to be a multiple exit point on the venue, as opposed to one single narrow exit point.
Is that in the event of a fire, you mean?
No, at the end of, if we've got an event in the concert room, let's say, yeah. What we've also got then is our restaurant side. So if both of those sides decide to empty at the same time, you've potentially got over 1,000 people that are going to try and get through that small exit, which is not safe, Gary. So that's not an option. We have to allow people to disperse to the side of the buildings as well. So on the restaurant side, there's bifolding doors which are leading out as well. Are you just talking about the smoking area in particular? Or are you talking about general emptying?
I think that's enough. Sorry, Sean, you go.
We're talking about people coming and going into the premises.
Yeah, so I mean, it would. I mean, look, I'm just saying, to make, in the interest of public safety, when people are leaving, the more points that we've got that we can allow people to leave, the quieter and quicker they're going to leave anyway. Whereas if they're all congested into one narrow passageway, it's going to cause a public risk. So we're not going to do that. We need to think of the best and safest way of getting the people out of there. So should we put this for discussion in a little bit more detail? Because I think obviously we're not seeing the same potential outcome. And I understand, look, we're looking at a new type of business, a new type of venue that we have not to do this before, but we're trying to make a decision on something, again, that hasn't happened yet, where we already have an evacuation plan at the end of the night, which is in place. And maybe we should consider that before we're making a decision about like this.
Sorry, Andrew, you're just talking about at the end of the evening, though, aren't you? With a mass of people coming out at the same time. Whereas if I understand, Environmental Health are saying that that door should be used all the time. Is that right? You're happy for people only to use that door generally throughout the evening to come and go, but at the end of the evening, you want everybody to come out that one door. Is that right?
That's how it is written at the moment. I think, yeah, we'll need to consider about the exit at the end of the evening. I don't know how we'd overcome that. Maybe Simon can help on that. Or
Well,
Joe.
I think Andrew's point was that he said that you know, we're opening up all the doors for a larger egress would only be done when there's no regulated entertainment taking place. So, you know, the escape of noise is going to be minimized as a consequence of that. To me, it's a reasonable suggestion. I can see the two issues here. You've got public health saying we don't want people back and forth, opening doors, noise escaping throughout the night. I get that. You've got the doors at the front that allow for some suppression of that noise. But at the end of the night, Andrew's saying, look, we've got public safety issues here. Let's get people out as quickly as possible through as many exits as possible without any music played inside.
Yeah, what I don't want is that there are people coming and going.
No.
Up until whatever it is, 2 o'clock in the morning, and using a particular area as a smoking area. And to avoid that, we can exclude the mass exit at the end of the evening. But I think throughout the evening, regardless of regulated entertainment or not, we don't want to see people coming and going through that door and creating a congregating place where people smoke.
No.
So there are, yeah,
okay,
two different things.
Oh, George, did you?
You're muted, George.
Yes. So let me just inquire. I'm not obligated to create a smoking area, am I, Garen or Sean? No. So you prefer that instead of me having enclosed area, safe area for people to come and smoke, or even to come a bit of fresh air during the show, to say them, because I won't have them in front of the premises, gathering and throwing fags into the floor, or even if I got something in there, it's not what I'm looking for. So socially, people will have to come outside of the gates and congregate outside of the gates and smoking outside in the street and congregating in there. So is that a better solution? Just asking.
I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think public health is saying that probably would be the better solution, and I don't think there's any objection from the police about the smoking area taking place at the front of the premises through the acoustic doors. Am I right there?
No, it's not. They have to be outside of the premises.
They would be off premises
in the public highway.
Why isn't there an area outside those acoustic doors that is on the premises that could be used?
No.
Okay.
And I suppose that comes back to what your policy is as to readmission. But the smoking area is of concern to us as environmental health as a possible source of noise from patrons congregating there.
Okay.
Sorry, I just to add to that, I think George made a very good point at the start of this meeting where we discussed not public noise. At the back of the Kirkhouse and the side of the Celtic Bar, inside the Kirkhouse, there's a yard at the back where people congregate to smoke. I don't know if you're aware of that, but that is right next to the houses that are at the back there. We are, as you said, Garen, 50 odd meters further away, probably 30 meters further away from the houses. And we put in restrictions on a smoking area. Where do we need to put restrictions on that? The people are going to congregate to smoke at the back, the proposed back of the building. Is much further away from the houses than the cooler smoking area, which has no objections and no problems at all. So I don't quite see the necessity for creating a restriction when there is no restriction on the cooler, and that's much nearer to the houses.
I think Joe wants to come in on this point.
Oh, Joe, sorry, yes.
Sorry, Joe.
Thank you, sorry. I think it's probably important just to, I think from an environmental health perspective, it's obviously Sian has concerns over people staying in that in the smoking area if there was seating, it encourages people to stay, etc. But the main point is that door at the back of the hall, if people are constantly going back and forth through that door at the back of the hall, that is going to cause the noise coming out from the hall.
Okay.
Whereas the front doors obviously they're double doors, aren't they? Which I appreciate because it's a fire escape. You can't do that at the back of the hall, but that is the key, I think, issue with that door.
Okay, and I think Andy Jones from South Wales Police has got his hand up as well. Andy?
Yeah, thanks, Simon. Thanks, Chair. And George, I've listened to you, and regarding the use of the bifold doors, unfortunately, policing the nighttime economy, our greatest demands happen at the end of the night, the mass exodus of patrons onto public streets. How are you going to monitor your patronage, leaving through those bifold doors, carrying bottles, glasses, etc., into the yard of Club Crown? And how are you then going to monitor that they exit Club Crown via the exit gate?
Okay, do you want me to jump in there, George? I think George has got his hand up anyway. George, do you want to step in there, or shall I deal with this?
No, you can step in. That's okay.
Yeah. Okay. And thanks for your question. I think something that we'd planned on doing was creating multiple gates from the premises to allow the clear and quick emptying of the building after an event, with adequate stewardship and security as well, qualified security. So, I mean, with the conversation that we had on the last mediation meeting with you, Jonathan, we did discuss the quantity of security staff and as well as stewards as well, and it's just managing those people with adequate stewarding and security staff, and having a process in place, and that will allow us to do it quickly and efficiently and safely. Because I think by dispersing in different directions, again, we're doing something that has never happened in Merthyr. That for a long time, with that quantity of people, we're looking at putting other gates into the boundary to allow us to do that much more effectively and safely, which is the key.
And you'll have staff on those gates, will you?
Yeah, and between the staff and the gates as well. We can even create barrier channels as well. It's something else that we've discussed, is creating channels using fencing and barriers to make sure that we move people in the right direction, and not pushing everybody out onto that main road in one hit. I think it's important. We look on the Celtic Bar side. There's obviously the gate there, which is the vehicle gate, but there's also a smaller gate. I don't know if you've seen that, which would be suitable for evacuation, and as well as using the front gate as well. So it does allow us to push people out into certain directions, and we will use fencing and barriers to manage that, as well as staff and security and stewards.
Okay, you're saying that you're going to have security staff on the gate. From what timings are those security staff going to be on the gate, and?
I've just sent the evacuation report to Sean. George, can you?
Yeah. So of course, different events, different styles of evacuation, but we want to make sure that in every major event we can use as maximum as exits as we can, and then 15-20 minutes before a big show finish, we'll have security staff designated to go into those doors, and we'll have stewards to help people or even direct people, because if everyone decided to go into the same exit, we can then direct people saying, kind of airport style, just direct them in different situations to make sure that, again, it's not a big agglomerate of people, but it's, stacks of people going into different places. And as Andrew said, we're going to create crowd barriers routes where stewards will be helping to direct people, and at the same time as the first look if they have bottles or if they have glasses, and then towards by the gates everyone will go through, because again what we don't want is 50 people coming through one big door where we cannot control the people that is in the middle of that agglomerated people. We don't know if they have plastics, if they have glasses, if they have bottles. So for directing people in different directions and creating almost like a two single line outdoor area where people can go. It's easier for the security staff to control when they exit that gate, making sure that they don't have any glass or any bottles with them.
And I'll just add to that we have got a dispersal policy, and I'll just I'll read you some of the points from there. At the end of the night, gradually turning the lights up, gradually turning the music down before the doors are opened. The door supervisors and security staff will remain on site until all customers have been cleared, and make sure they're safely and quietly on their way. No alcohol to be, no drinks will be allowed to be removed from the premises at the end of the night, so nobody will be leaving with drinks at all. Taxi and telephone taxi numbers will be allocated and given to people if they request them as well. And staggering the leave-in time, so not everybody, try and maintain some kind of amount of people in there at some point to stagger that, the people leaving. I think the majority of people, we have to bear in mind, would be walking towards the college car park, which is where I would imagine most people will park for events in the club. So we have to consider that the footfall will be going, the majority of footfall most of the time will be going in that direction. And just making sure that nobody is congregating. That will fall into our remit as well. Make sure we're moving people along. And just make sure we facilitate the dispersal and make sure it happens as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Thanks, both.
And sorry, Anne, just to throw one in there as well, there'll be a significant amount of training for security and door staff with this in mind as well. So that's part of the policy and part of the plan.
Okay, I think we've reached the end of Garen's representations. Yep.
Yes,
that's right.
Yes.
Can I just add one other point that wasn't made maybe entirely clearly, was the lack of agreement over sales of alcohol off sales. That hasn't been agreed by Environmental Health. Our concerns here is that where there's off sales, they could remain on the premises because drinking of alcohol isn't a licensable activity. So yeah, we maintain our objections to off sales. Thanks.
Okay, can we just can I just approach some issues with that? I mean, what we are very conscious of is that, and somebody, I don't know if you've seen it on the plans for the building, as you come through the front gates of the building, to the right there's another gate and to the left there's another gate. So people can't access the car park to the right and they can't access the beer garden to the left when it's closed. So if there's an event on and if there are off sales, the only way that people can go is out through the front door. So nobody's going to be drinking in those circumstances alcohol for the purchase for off sales on the premises because there's nowhere they can go. And again, door staff and the mitigation there is the security and monitoring of people and where they're going with the drink. So that's not quite I don't know if that waylays any of your concerns there, Sean, but they can't buy alcohol and go out and disperse into the premises then. They can only go out through the front door. Does that make sense? Did it make sense for that? I think you can't see it on the plan.
Well, as I said on the mitigation meeting, the off sales is more a get ready situation than actually, our business won't be to be selling drinks to people to come outside and go wherever they want to go. That's not my business. That's Tesco's business. So what I really want with the off sales is getting ready for, we hope not, if it's a pandemic or if it's any, calamity that we need to be ready for. I don't need to be then waiting for a 28 days consultation notice to be able, to sustain some kind of business. Because, what COVID teach me is to be ready in one way. And no one can say that will never happen because people were saying before and it happened. So the other thing is my workforce is going to be over 70 people that I need to be take care of. So I need to do whatever is, in my capacities to be ready if anything goes wrong in any situation, to do my best to be able to cater for them. And cater for them is trying to have some kind of business going on, whatever the circumstances happen. So this is my, off sales situation. Again, it's not in my interest to be selling alcohol to people that just pass by, or even people drinking alcohol and then come out, because we already discussed these. We'll be having, measures in place for people don't leave the premises with, alcoholic drinks.
Yeah, it is. So just to clarify, that is the off sales is a contingency plan for which has come in very useful in the Crown, isn't it? Where we are allowed to sustain the business with alcohol sales during a pandemic when we couldn't open. So if people wanted to come and have a takeaway, it was something that allowed the business to from a business continuity point of view, it allowed revenue generation from wet sales and with food and beverage sales, and that's the reason why this is in place, just to allow, should that happen again, touch wood that it never does, that we've got the flexibility to be able to still generate revenue as a business, to pay the bills and to pay the wages.
I don't see where it's within your application that you will control where people will drink, and actually that's not a licensable activity, which is why we've sustained our objection in relation to off sales, because I can't see where that control mechanism is in the application. Sorry, I don't know if I've missed something.
No, do you want us to put a bit more meat on the bones with that, or have you a recommendation for us?
Oh, well, I don't think I can recommend an enforceable condition.
Say that again. Sorry, Sean, you broke up then.
I don't think I can. I can't think of a condition that's enforceable, legally enforceable.
Okay. Okay.
I've got concerns around that people will congregate outside drinking what they bought within the premises.
Well, one of the conditions that we can put it in is all the drinks have to be consumed outside of the premises, inside of the premises, and the off sales, they need to be to a certain distance of the premises. That's the only thing that we can put in place.
Yeah, you can't put a condition to say within a certain distance of the premises, because you have no control over that. Once people leave your premises, then it's up to them where they drink, isn't it?
Yeah. But probably the same as I said, the same as which conditions we put on Tesco's or any off-license shop. So, and again, concerns raised.
I suppose one option is to grant the off sales and monitor it to see if there's any issues and then come back. I mean that's one option.
That would make sense.
Well, but that's the all options in here. That's what I'm saying from the beginning. You know,
how do we? Yeah, I suppose how do we distinguish what's sold as off license and what's sold as on premises to be drunk on? You know, if you sold a bottle of beer.
Joe, you got your hand up.
Joe, yeah.
Thank you. So a condition has been put forward by has been agreed following South Wales Police's representations that any drinks, any off sales taken from the licensed area are to be placed in sealed plastic or polycarbonate receptacles for consumption away from the premises. So any off sales that are taken out are to be in sealed containers anyway, and you know you've got to, as George sort of said, you know, it's the same with Tesco's. You've just got to assume that people will take them away, really. Same with any off license, but you know, people can't be taking drinks out from the licensed area in like an open beer bottle. Then, for example, that condition is already on. Has been agreed by the applicant.
Sorry, say that last bit again, Joe.
So they couldn't leave the venue with an open beer bottle because the off sales are conditioned that any drinks taken from the licensed area are in sealed plastic or polycarbonate receptacles to be consumed away from the venue.
So if somebody buys a bottle of beer, they can't take it away from the premises at all?
No, they can take it away, but it would be in the package. You don't have to be packaged, wouldn't it? Isn't that what you're saying? In a receptacle? So
it has to be in a sealed plastic or polycarbonate.
Is that off sales then? Does that cover off sales?
Yeah. That is for off sales.
So are we saying that no bottles of wine would be sold then, that there has to be
plastic or polycarbonate?
So that no bottles of wine or anything. And what controls are there that those beverages aren't consumed on site?
They'd be able to consume them on site.
Yeah, and that's my concern, is outside. Is the licensable area covers the car park and everything? Is there a possibility of restricting that after a certain time?
Yeah, but that's what I mentioned earlier on, Sean, with the gates either side. So there's no access to those two areas anyway. Those areas will be sealed off. So when they leave through the front door with their plastic cup with a pint in it or whatever, and they're going to take that to wherever they're going to go to drink it, they can't then take a sharp right and go into the sharp left and go into the car park and drink it there. That's not possible because that'll be closed off anyway.
But you are proposing more than just you are proposing to use area B of the site on some occasions, which I'm still not clear on.
Yeah, we are proposing to use that some occasions, yeah.
So
again, at that point, the gates on the side are for access for in and out to allow people to come in and to leave, and that is managed by supervisors, door supervisors and security staff. And again, it comes back to what we spoke about with South Wales Police, that no alcohol is to leave the premises at any point in a glass or a bottle. So if they want to go back in and put it into a plastic cup and take it home with them, they can do that. But again, we manage that. We manage that with our door staff.
Okay, I suppose we haven't got a condition for the use of that area B that would overcome our concerns with off sales then. I suppose that's what I can say simply.
Let me just come in here. I think we're just coming in circles and circles and circles, and I think in the end of the day, it's going to be a lot of things that is no conditions or is nothing in place for it. But I think in one way, you just have to trust that we know what we're doing. And I already show that, I think I know a bit of what I'm doing. And it's, I think it's this time that whatever we're going to say or decided, you need to put a bit of trust in us more than anything, because if not, we'll be in here, all day going through the same questions where is no conditions or is no areas relevant or there is an area too relevant. I think, to be honest, I know this is not practical or for some of you because it's not written on a paper, but it needs to go towards a lot of trust between yourselves to us and even us to yourselves in some ways as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perhaps we'll move on from that now. I think we've explored every avenue really. So
before we do, sorry,
yes,
Councillor, I'd just like to just to clarify. Then you've objected to the off sales as a whole, have we?
Yes.
So off sales are not allowed in any shape or form based on what?
No, that's Public Health's objection. The committee will consider everything that's been said and will decide whether or not to uphold that objection.
Sorry, Simon.
Okay, so that's not a done deal. We'll have a think about try and work our way through everything that I've written down. We've recorded this, so we can always go back to it to clarify things. But it may well be that we won't have a condition, but we don't know yet. So that's not a done deal.
Okay, thanks. Oh, George, did you have one more question? Oh, no, it's right. Okay, then. Is Rhys going to do a presentation? No.
Chair, I think it's up to I think we're up to the premises applicant now to basically put it. The thing is, what we've done here, we've had the submissions as we've gone along in some respects, but it'd be nice now for maybe Andrew or for George to bring it back now as to if we can go back to their I've got it up on my screen here, the Crown's amended application. So we got additional times, and then we get into the conditions that are in dispute, and of course the additional conditions that have been suggested. So I don't know whether you, Andrew, or you, George, want to just go through that just to say why you think, for instance, you should be given these additional times, etc.
Okay, George can step in. He'd like to make a point here.
Okay.
So. We had these mitigation meetings where we're trying to work towards our differences, and I think we reached most of it. But I just think that what we are asking is not completely off charts, and I think that to create a business from the scratch and the business on this size, and as I said in the beginning, is going to be needing a lot of goodwill from all the people involved, and it's going to need a lot of hard work, and it's going to be a lot of tries and make it happen. But you need to understand that our project is always towards the well-being of the people surrounding us as well. We don't want to create enemies, because we know that the business won't be able to drive through it. Because instead we're fighting against the economy or the raise of the electricity bills or energy or whatever. We'll be fighting against all our neighbors. I am conscious that no one can drive a business through it. So you need to, as I said before, you need to trust that we know what we're doing, with the conditions that we ask, with the conditions that we already accepted to change. And as I said, in the way, if there's anything that needs to be changed, we will be in here. We'll be, always open to conversations, always, accepting opinions, always accepting new ideas, and always working together. So I just think that this is the best way that we can create the business to start with, and less than that will affect, the way as we do things. Because one of the things that we all need to understand is this is not, a place with that is going to take 100 people or 10 employees. This is a place that it needs a lot of involvement and it needs a lot of financial capacity. So probably some of the things that you are asking us to do will jeopardize our way of trying the business to be sustainable. And but again, it's not all about the money, because if it was all about the money, probably we'll be saying that we do something and then we make the money and we won't do it. And then you'll come back on us, and then will be a fight that will be all over the news and all over the papers on that, all that kind of thing. We don't want that. We want to be direct from day one. We want to tell you what we expect to achieve, and we want this to happen in our town. But again, we cannot start these with too much of how can I say, of detailed conditions that they might not even be applicable. But you need to trust on us, and you need to trust on my capacity of trying the best for our town.
Okay, thank you.
And just I'd like to add to that. What we're trying to do has not been done. We're trying to, and I'll give you a bearing on the potential footfall impact that this could have on the daytime and nighttime economies of Merthyr Tydfil. Our marketing strategy is a national marketing strategy for our events. We are not planning on marketing directly and only to people within the local vicinity. We are trying to attract tourists, music tourists, to Merthyr Tydfil to enjoy the events that we put on. The impact that this will have, and I'll give you some figures, 2018 to 2019, Wales on its own generated £574 million from music tourism, of which Merthyr Tydfil saw none of that. We saw none of it. We had nothing going on. We've got an opportunity now with this to put events on, multiple events per week that are ticketed and sold outside of Wales, outside of potentially the UK, to attract people to come and see these events, encouraging music tourism. The focus from our point of view is to be able to do this without any restrictions at the start. I think, Sean, you said last week about a venue in Cardiff that was a bit of an anomaly. I think this is a bit of an anomaly. I think we're trying to do something unique. We're trying to do something different. And we would like the flexibility to be able to respond to what's put in front of us and the events that we can focus on. And having that flexibility would allow us to, especially within the first 3 years of developing and scaling the business, it will allow us to really look at what works, what doesn't work, and what we can improve on. But putting these restrictions in before we start, I think, is preventative. I think we're shouting at things that we don't know if they're going to affect or are going to happen at all. We're making decisions on and doing things to prevent things that may or may not happen. And again, there's precedent already in place with regard noise, with regard smoking, because we've got other venues right by the side of us. We've already got precedent there and how they work. Yet there are further restrictions on us than there are on those. I don't quite understand that. But I'm asking for give us the flexibility to allow us to develop this business effectively and in a way that is beneficial, as George has said, for the town and for the people in the town, including the local community. Okay, that's all from me.
Okay. Thank you. Chair?
Yes, thanks for that. So has anyone got any other comments to make before we close? No, well, we'll retire and consider this application. It's likely to be a few days. We'll reply within 5 days, perhaps before then. And we'll take into account everything that's been said.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah. Any comments on there? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
When you're looking to open?
Well, if everything goes as planned, and that hasn't happened until until now, we're thinking bank holiday August 2024.
In a year's time.
Oh, right. Okay. All right.
23. Sorry.
All right. Well, we have to give a decision within 5 days. But you know, I mean,
Yes.
obviously we'll have it in plenty of time for you to decide what to do. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Okay.
you for your time. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you for your time, and I'm really sorry for the technicality problems.
No.
So, my apologies for keeping you waiting.
But I understand you've been very kind to the bats in Merthyr as well.